cabinet. With that came delayment in payments, and after that he has fired all PSs at the same time. So people, they're not controlling officers in the ministries. They're not signing any checks. So there's no money. Right now, there's no money in the economy. So people that are also having, those that have businesses, that have supplied people a few things here and there, payments are not coming out. Because if I don't get paid, innocent, if I'm owing you something, I won't pay you, And the person on the market who's selling chihuahua or rep or tomato, if I buy from them every day, it means I won't buy because I don't have money, I've not been paid. So it's a vicious cycle, So what are the young people doing? They're out there. And when we talk about the president, for example, when we were pressurizing him to form cabinet, they were complaining, But they didn't realize this whole thing that happens behind the scenes. Right now, again, the issues of PSs, we're supposed to have a budget. This is October. Zambia is supposed to have a budget end of this month. There are no PSs. So the controlling officers who are supposed to inform the budget are not there. So are we going to have a budget as a country? And you've got young people who are out there who don't even know the entire system, or those that know, but they are blinded by their partisan lenses. They are busy complaining on social media instead of being out there. So with that now, people are broke. People are broke, and it's for the UPND that are broker than everybody else. So for me, instead of them being on social media and being broke and doing whatever it is do whatever it is they're doing, they need to be out there. They should pressurize their government more than even us, so that systems and people are appointed in their places as soon as possible, so that things start running. Because things are on a standstill right now in this country. Things are on a standstill. No wonder we don't have money at the moment.
All right. I want you possibly to appreciate the other side of the coin, that you have, of course, you believe that most of the UPND supporters, they are broke because of the stagnation that we have at the moment in terms of filling the gaps or the vacancies that have been created at this point.
Exactly.
Do you think, again, maybe it could be okay that maybe Bally is trying to demonstrate that when you are a leader of a political party, it's not about satisfying or impressing your members only, but you have to look at the larger aspect of the country.
Yes.
You remember these are the concerns that we had when the PF was in government. People were saying PF officials, they have given too much powers to their members.
Exactly.
We have seen jobs being given to their on patronage.
Yes.
And Bally is saying, I think we need to run things in an equitable manner.
Exactly.
You don't appreciate that?
Oh, I do, actually, I do. And if you look at even the first part of my comment, I think I even mentioned to say the good thing, I said the good thing about voting out the PF is that, wow, a few cadres had money and the country would complain. Right now, everyone is broke, including, or especially the UPND cadres. Because before we'd see a situation whereby the cadres would go on social media, they are sleeping on money, they are burning money, they are splashing money all over, When it comes to Bally, and for me, that's actually one of the number one things, the number one thing that I actually appreciate about him and this kind of a government. If really they're going to go by what they're saying, it means that they're going to create a conducive environment, a fair environment, where whoever works hard will make money. And I'll be honest with you, people think because at the end of maybe the last 5 years of the PF, the last 5 years, this last term, because in fact it was this year when we endorsed them, the others are making it sound as if we were with them all the time. Yeah. We were highly critical of the PF, all this time, like for a very, very long time until when the issue when we endorsed them, when it came to election endorsements and everything, And one thing about the PF is that the issues of the monies and the issues of the environment which had been created in the country, it was not really a fair kind of environment, But with that, it was a situation whereby anybody who was affiliated to them could make whatever money they could make, But if Bally is going to do whatever it is that he's saying right now, it means that it's going to create that system, and a real capitalist system, by the way, where the people that work hard are going to make more. And the other sad part of that is that the richer become richer, and the poor become poorer. That's just a real and a realistic way of looking at a capitalist system. The rich become richer, the poor become poorer. So what do you do in such a system? You work hard, So no wonder for me, most times they normally urge the young people. And today was not even one of those first days. The other time I was even asking them to say, you the people that belong to the UPND, have you registered companies, for example? Okay? Have you gone to school? Have you prepared yourself? But even if an opportunity was to come and knock, it's there. you know. And having said that, I wanted to say that I was highly critical myself of the PF for a very long time. You know, I was one of those people whereby at some point where I was being looked at as an enemy of the state. You get the point? But because I had registered businesses, I could go wherever and do business with government, okay? But of course, being in the opposition, what I would do is that I would not go there myself. I would make sure that no one knows it's my company, because it's a registered company. So you take other people, you take your director there, you take your PR person, you take whoever, and they go out there and they look for business, and they'll do that. You know, yeah. So even now, trust me, people don't need to be home, because the problem again I saw with the UPND and their cadres is that they always felt that they can only make something out of their lives when the UPND forms government. And most times I would even tell them that, so no, you are entitled as a Zambian, you know. And for a person like me, trust me, even now with the UPND government, my business is already running. I will go 1 or 2 places, I will look for business. You know, if they won't give me, they won't give me. But as a Zambian, I am entitled to do business with the government of the day. Government, number one, is one of the biggest, if not the very biggest employer, and also the biggest contractor in terms of goods and services in this country. So each and every Zambian, you can register a company and do business. So if the PF government or regime was so brutal and was so horrible that they really destroyed the economy, but some of us worked so hard and made 1 or 2 things for ourselves, then in the right environment that they themselves have voted for, then we can make something and maybe even better, you know. But what the young people should do is that they themselves, again, they should ensure that they do the right things in terms of their businesses, in terms of their qualifications, in terms of whatever it is that they have. You know, so they should put up their CVs together. They should put up their companies together in terms of the portfolios of their companies, so that they start looking for businesses, not being online, insulting people, shouting at people when the big people are in their parties, making their money and getting the jobs that they're getting right now.
All right. When I listen to you, I think there's one concern that comes out is the aspect of, you know, giving jobs to people that you thought could have been maybe in the background at the moment, you know, and usher or hand over these positions to the young people that are complaining and looking for jobs right now. You know, but should we ignore the aspect of experience?
Yes.
I'll cite examples. For example, in the Ministry of Finance, we needed somebody who is very experienced, like Dr. Msokotwane.
Yes.
You know, you go to the Ministry of Infrastructure Development as well. We needed a person like Mr. Milupi. You know, go to Ministry of Technology and Science. Possibly Felix Mtati is a well-pressed person there. Why should we get rid of, you know, certain vibrant minds and bring in interns, for lack of better words?
Very true. And for me, I think the time they made those appointments, I think I did congratulate Dr. Stimbeko Msokotwane, because for me, he was such a great appointment, you know, and I know that even internally he has been one of these great advisors to President HH, so somebody the President respects. So you don't want, and I think it's a comment also I made, to say you don't want an advisor to be somebody who the President advises. You know, African leaders are so powerful that they appoint advisors, and when they meet, it's the President advising the advisors, you know. So I know the fact that Dr. Msokotwane is one person that he respects, so he's going to be really giving the President advice, you know. So that was a great appointment. And like you have said, you need people, you know, that are holding those certain positions to have certain relevant experience. It's very, very important. You know, right now as they are holding those positions, they can now start having people that they can build, you know, that they can mentor, and in the next few years or so take up those positions. But for now, and especially that the UPND promised to sort out the economy more than anything else, they needed somebody who was experienced and not somebody who would come in and start learning on the job. For science and technology, though, I doubt a bit, because I saw the youth complaining to say, and these are people that we show how to just put light on their phones. So technology, so I don't know how that will play out. But science and technology, I'd have loved a younger person there, actually a younger person, you know. But even that, we'll see. It's their vision. So they'll be showing us their vision, you know, as they go. Because sometimes you may have a certain different vision from what they are thinking themselves, you know. But for me, more than that, you know, politics, and I tell the young people that all the time, politics when it comes to jobs, people that don't just appoint, you know. No wonder I've seen others have been complaining again to say, where are these people from? We don't even know them as UPND. Where are they coming from? People go through a lot in politics. Yes, and people go through a lot, and whether you like it or not, that informs the way that the president makes his appointments. You'd find that somebody was not really so active politically, but maybe this is somebody that was funding ABCD. So the president will be compelled to do something. No wonder keep on aging young people. You know, sometimes I'll say it in a nice way, sometimes I'll say it in a way by say, Machira Momanje. I'll say it as it is. You get the point. You are here on Facebook instead of being out there. But the truth of the matter is this. The young people have to be politically involved. They have to be politically engaged, you know. Zambia, for example, has got about 51%, almost 51%, about 50 point something, you know, percent in terms of women. So women are more than men. The young people, I think, are over 80%. Yeah, if you go to our parliament, you find that women in the past parliament, for example, there were only about how many? 26 women out of the 156, which came to about 16% women. In this parliament, we only have 20 women. So the number's gone down. It has come down to about 12% women. You know, the councillors all over the country, from over 1,600 councillors, the whole country, we only have 1,144. The percentage has dropped all the way to 7.6%, you know. So despite us complaining in terms of that gender representation, when it comes to the youth, you normally find that parliament only have maybe 1% or 2%, the youth. So as the women who are about 51%, we complain about that 12% representation. But the youth are over 80%, only have 1% representation or less, you know. So it's a very, very sad state of affairs. Very sad. But the youth are not involved. Because when it comes to even adoptions, where are the political parties going to adopt the young people if they're not there? You know? So you need to be there in the political party. Join a political party. You know, once you join a political party, the next thing you do, find yourself maybe in the structures, do whatever it is that you can do. And by the way, you'll be very interested to know that last year there were young people when they did the youth protest and everything, young people that contacted me and we spoke. One of them was Chela Tuguta. And he made those decisions, and look at where he is now. One of them was Lily Mutambo, you know. Among us young people that I sat down and talked to, I told them, guys, you can't be on Facebook. Get down there. Join political parties. And I normally tell the young people, for me, I don't care which party you join. I don't care which party you join. I've had, by the way, as a member of the NDC, before, of course, I became a president, there have been people that have come to me, and I've taken them to the Socialist Party, for example, and I've told them, I am for gender representation and gender ABCD. One other party I respect so much in terms of gender equality and everything is the Socialist Party. So since you are young women, I'll take you this side. I've done that, you know, because for me, the most important thing is that young people should get involved in politics. Young people should assert themselves. Young people should ensure that they create a certain space and take advantage of that space and ensure that they get the things that they need, and like just talking from very far away from the political establishments. All right.
Let's talk about BALLY'S address today, or a radio appearance. I bring this to your attention because remember the president, he has challenged all of us in this country to pick up our pens and papers and begins to tick the boxes, you know, in terms of what he promised. Let's digress in terms of how he responded to the questions today. What came out from that?
I'll tell you one thing. I think BALLY is a good public speaker, you know. And for me, I don't want to judge him based on what he says. I want to judge him on what he does, you know, because he has given us very beautiful speeches in the past 2 months now that he has been president. Beautiful speeches. But if what he says is going to be exactly what he does, then this country is going to be a very good country. You know, yes, we saw the issue of the cadres, for example. He said something else, his people were saying something else. You know, the issues to do with unity, he's saying something else, his people are doing something else. Violence, apart from just the cadres, issues of violence, he said something else and his people are doing something else, you know. And the other issues which he brought out, I like so much the issue of scholarships, because I'm one of those people that really believes that free education in this country is going to sort out a lot of things, you know, and the UPND promised us that. And I remember, by the way, the time that I joined the UPND as the first party that I joined years back, it's the #1 thing that I joined the political party for, the issue of free education. So now that they're finally coming to government, I want to see how that is going to be operationalized, you know. So that to me is very, very critical. So now we heard him today saying, what is this? It's not about the free education. What did he call it? They're going to have the so-called positive discrimination against the most marginalized, just to paraphrase it, you know. But scholarships have always been like that. Scholarships always advantage or target, you know, the poorest of the poor. They do that. That is why even if you go to UNZA right now, most people, they'll say they're even orphans, you know. And people normally joke to say, when getting scholarships, everybody is an orphan, but the time of graduation, their parents resurrect and come for the graduation ceremonies, you know, because it has always been that criteria that you give the poorest of the poor, you know. And Zambia, by the way, already has a policy of education for all, you know. And the education for all policy talks about no child in Zambia walking more than 5 kilometers to school. You know, I work a lot in the rural areas, and trust me, children in this country are still walking 20 kilometers to the nearest school. Yes, children are walking 100 kilometers. And I remember I was in the UPND and we had a by-election in Mlobezi. The president HH himself, he found me in a place called Nawinda. Nawinda is the remotest part of Mlobezi. It does not even have phone network. Maybe now they have. By then, they didn't even have phone networks, you know. So you are there and your phones are off. The whole 1 month we were there, the phones were off. And I remember when the president came through now to come and campaign for the candidate. When he came there and he found us, I was even shocked. Women, you've been here for this long, you know. And amongst the things that we showed him was the issue of the boarding houses, the weekly boarding houses, you know. This has come about in this country because of lack of schools nearby. So there's been now this advent of the so-called weekly boarding houses where children have to walk 100 kilometers to the nearest school. You know, so they start off, let's say, on a Sunday, you know, maybe arrive same day, whatever, maybe they get it if they're lucky, whatever it is. So Monday all the way to Friday, they're in school. Weekend, they go. Sometimes they get so tired, they don't go. So when the president came to Mulobezi, which is a scenario we find in most places in this country, a small hut, a round hut, there'll be like 10, 15 children sleeping in that hut, you know, and to them it's a boarding house. So those are the conditions that are there in this country, and the president has seen it for himself. So what we need to do now is build a lot of boarding schools, you know, because with that situation, find that girls are alone, you know, it's not really a boarding house because they're alone there. So the men who are nearby that are selling a few things here and there, or maybe some of them are employed by 1 or 2 companies, they take advantage of those girls. So no wonder again we have high rates of teenage pregnancies and marriages, because these girls now are subject to all sorts of vices, you know, for them to look after themselves. One person will have a soap here, a painter, or whatever. The other person wants to do the same thing. They want to eat, they want to survive. So those are the problems that this country has. So the president, in terms of talking, he doesn't even need to talk too much, because he knows the problems of this country. And I'll be very, very happy today if by the next time they're coming, they'll tell us, so much money has been released, and this is what we're doing. We're building a boarding school here, we're building a boarding school there, and this and that. Another thing, by the way, for me, which is something I'd want the UPND to do when it comes to free education, I've been saying this can be actualized. When I was at school myself, when I was doing my master's degree, at the university I was at, I was with Nigerians who were telling me to say, in Nigeria, they have what they call an education fund. And that's a pot where they got the money from, and they came to do their master's and their PhD degrees in Europe, in these countries abroad. So you can imagine they have this education fund where they can even educate themselves at universities abroad, and our fees are like $3,000, $40,000, you know. So they're able to get that and go there and also even get their weekly allowances from that. And they explain to say that education fund, the companies in the country, okay, the business organizations, they are not really compelled. The government really more or less like follows them up, and maybe, let me just say, sensitizes them in terms of 1 or 2 things, you know, talks to them, encourages them to put money in that education fund. And with that, they give them tax rebates and certain incentives. So you find that if I am, let's say, Trade Kings, I know that if I'm going to put a 20 million kwacha in the education fund, these are the advantages. These are the incentives government is going to give me. So government needs to start negotiating, you know. So you have Trade Kings, you're going to have maybe the banks, you're going to have Muvi TV, you're going to have all sorts of businesses. Even me as an individual, if I've got a bit of money, I can put in the education fund, knowing that 3-4 Zambians are going to be educated. So the UPND can go to places like Nigeria or other countries that are implementing a similar thing, so that they know how the business houses in those countries are able to provide education for many people. You know, this is something which is already being done. So the UPND needs to come up with such deliberate policies, such deliberate programs, so that money is raised for as many people as possible to be educated, not for us to be watching every day them telling us what they are going to do. We are tired of that. We want to see what they are doing. They need to start acting right now, instead of them just keeping on talking about what they're going to do.
Right. Well, let's talk about the aspect of the free education. I know that this has been a very contentious, debate for quite some time. So we've had other experts that have come here. They've argued that it's not possible, it's not attainable to have free education in this country. I want to hear from you, as Madam Saboi Imboila, and also a person who benefited from the free education policy. Can we attain it now? We are about over 18 million Zambians so far, and by the time KK was in power, he had about 6 million people about.
Yeah.
How possible is this policy?
Oh, certainly. The policy of free education is very, very possible. Right. And not only is it possible, it's very relevant. It's very relevant and also very urgent. Right. The UPND needs to do it. They need to implement it. What they can do is even implement it in phases. Maybe they can say, we are starting this issue of free education, but we want to do it, we won't say it's free education like for everybody right now. What we're going to do, maybe half the population. You get the point? Or this, or they can start with that. For example, CBU students have been calling me to say, since they're not going ahead with the free education, please can you talk to them? Can they even just half the fees? If we can pay half our school fees, we'll be very, very happy. And I hope they're listening and they implement things like that. Let the students pay half their fees. You promise them. This is why they voted. This song of politicians saying one thing, then they form government and they do the complete opposite should not continue happening. Free education is the best way to go. Okay? Free education is the best way to go. And by the way, do you know that even the NDC has got free education in our manifesto? Because we believe in that. We highly believe in that. And for us also, of course, we do qualify it and also talk about starting with the poorest of the poor in terms of the free education. But we really believe that. Because just like Mandela said, for us to develop this continent, we need to prioritize education. It's not a joke. If you look at most of these developed countries, that's what they have done. And what they do with their education is that you find that their own locals, first of all, they pay very minimal fees. There's that free education. Then in the private schools, of course, minimal fees. And then for international students, you pay colossal sums of money. So those are the things that this government can start doing. Places like UNZA, places like CBU. Those are learning and research institutions. What kind of research are we doing? We are underutilizing our facilities, And also when it comes to free education, you can provide free education to a certain group or number of people. Then there are those, again, that have to pay, So in terms of streams, this thing of students going to UNZA or CBU, they start class at 8 and they leave at 17 hours, shouldn't be happening. Have a stream from morning to, let's say, 13 hours. They go. Another one from 14 to 17, they go another stream in the evenings and whatever. I know there's an evening, there's evening kind of learning and everything, but maybe it's only a few courses, maybe low and a few courses like that. But it should be something which the university should look at. We need to prioritize education in this country, And that is why when you go to even places like South Africa, you're going to find that there are so many campuses. The way UNZA is, maybe we'd have a Kafue campus, we would even have a Kanyama campus, there are so many of them, so many satellites around, So once we do certain things right, trust me, and for me, I'm still very hopeful because the UPND have always been very passionate about free education. I'll be one of the most disappointed people in this country if they don't go with it. Right. Okay? Yes, because that's the way to develop this country. If they don't go with it, it's going to be very, very disappointing, and a way that would really take Zambia many, many years back. Because if we don't educate our people, trust me, then we're not interested in the future of this country, we're not interested in the real development, because everything has to start with education.
I want to agree with you when you talk about how much we need to invest into the education sector in this country. And I ask this question, or I give my submission, reason being that there are a lot of people that are watching this program right now, and more especially the challenges that are found in the rural areas, let's say, amongst our teachers. You find that a teacher maybe is handling maybe about a class of 70 pupils.
Exactly.
All these challenges, meaning besides the free education, we need also maybe to employ more teachers as well. Not only employing teachers, but we need much investment in terms of salaries to the teachers and proper accommodation to the teachers. But again, we've been told that government is in the process of wanting to build more high schools going forward from the money that they are going to borrow, as announced by the Minister of Finance, that they are going to borrow the money. And when that money comes, the first priority will be to construct or build more schools or high schools in this country. And yet we've got a deficit of teachers in this country.
Exactly.
How do we harmonize all these problems?
Yes. For me, and I'm sure you know that before I joined politics, I was coming in from the NGO sector.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. And one thing I can tell you is that the government sometimes has been hostile to NGOs. You know, let the government actually approach NGOs. You know, I remember with Save the Children would have this budget of meeting politicians, which was like a high budget, just to meet politicians and convince them on certain policies. Do you know that the government right now should not even wait for NGOs, you know, like let's say Save the Children, Plan International, World Vision. They shouldn't wait for those to approach them. Let them approach such NGOs. These NGOs have got big budgets for education in this country. Yes, they're doing education, they're building schools, you know, they're building mothers' shelters, they're building teachers' houses. And I remember, for example, with Save the Children, every time you build a school together with a play park and teachers' houses, you know, and you put boreholes there, you know, and apart from that, you give them both learning and teaching materials. I know these other organizations I've mentioned are doing the same things. You get the point. They've got huge funding for this every year. So what is the government doing deliberately to approach these NGOs? Find out from them, what exactly are you doing? You know, what are you doing? How can you help us as government? We do have a lot of stakeholders in this country whereby if government was to be proactive, trust me, these people would help them. You know, not a situation whereby government looks at these organizations as if they are enemies, they become antagonistic with them and everything. Before you know it, the NGOs and the government can't really speak. No, yeah, exactly. So if they really had a great relationship, you'd be shocked that most of the things that they would even want to do, they would be helped. And just to give an example of Save the Children, by the time I was leaving, that was 2015, Save the Children had built, I think, 58 schools in Southern Province. They'd built about 38 schools in Western Province. And we just started, Copper Belt, but then which are like 4 schools there. By now, if we're going to ask them, maybe there are over 100 or maybe 200 schools that they've built for the past 8 years or so, you know. So many of these NGOs, and I think World Vision even has a bigger budget than organizations like Save the Children, you know. So for me, in terms of these issues that the government wants, it's about them identifying the right partners. And instead of waiting for those partners to come to them, let them go to them. You know, I'd be very happy today if I saw President HH, she just goes, okay, I want to talk to NGOs, for example, dealing with children. Come and see me. What issues do you have? How can I help with this and that? Next thing, NGOs dealing with the youth, you know, NGOs dealing with women. They should not create a hostile environment between NGOs and the government, because trust me, most of these people are in this country to help out the children. They're in this country to help out the women, you know, and the youth. So that collaboration will go a long way in terms of the government even achieving its goals for free education and a lot of other things.
I'm sure, Madam President, you do realize that all these wonderful, fantastic plans that you are, you know, offloading right now or advising the government may not be realized if at all we do not sort out the mess or the bigger picture that we have as a country. And that bigger picture, that's something to do with our debt. Very critical.
Very
Zambia
true.
is in a terrible situation that our economy is on. I don't want to sound so, you know, sarcastic, but I'll be nice by saying our economy is bad. You know, 14 billion plus. It's not something that is a joke. And how can we come out from this situation, the economy in general? You do remember very well that we've done a lot of. We've had a lot of plans in the past, you know, by different administrations. I did give an example the other time that when Kaunda was in power, he brought up some kind of stringent measures that to put in place to better the economy, such as the leadership code to his administration, which were refusing them or denying them from accessing, you know, or purchasing bigger properties for their homes or for their children.
Exactly.
You know, we saw the again we had the is it the structural adjustment program? Remember it, the 1980?
Exactly.
Somewhere there. Again, when the PF came in power, we were told you need to tighten your belts and the lights. So many plans have come in an effort to liberate our economy. But still more, we keep on lamenting about this, the economic woes. How can we get out of this?
Well, first and foremost, when it comes to the economy, we always have to know that we do have comparative advantages as a country that we should really take advantage of. You know, we always want to be given this one prescription which fits all. Like that's how even the SAPs were. You know, the SAPs, you find that the IMF and World Bank, they prescribed the solution to all of us. You know, some solutions. And I hear that even in the government documents, some countries, maybe it will be Zambia, Ghana will be appearing on Nigeria, because the same paper that they were dealing with Nigeria the previous day, they give you a Zambia. You get the point, yes. So they didn't look at the countries and what really they needed. It was the same thing, you know. So all of us were given the same medicine. You've got malaria, they give you Panadol. You've got COVID, they give you Panadol. You've got meningitis, they give you Panadol. You know, so all of us were given the same thing, and we're told that to have all those 10 prescriptions that we're told to do. You know, and it really damaged us. You know, so in terms of privatization, in terms of liberalization, all those things, I think the IMF really did not really consider us. You know, Kaunda had things like import substitution, because he knew that if you're going to have Tarino here, and the other, you remember the Tarino and the other drinks that we're having those times? Sure. Yes. If you have this, you promote them more than Coca-Cola, there's something that you gain in the economy, yes. But when it came to the prescription from the IMF and World Bank, we had to stop a lot of those things. Sure. You know, we had to stop a lot of those things. And moving back to where we are right now, when it comes to the economy, we have seen that in the past few years, Zambia has been able to find some minerals. You know, we have now the Kasansali gold in our northwestern province. That should be utilized. You know, that should be utilized to the advantage of our people. In Minilunga, people were just using hoes, you know, they were using shovels to get gold, which was just knee-high. The government went in, and whatever it is they did, nobody knows. You know, you create systems for your people. Okay, you've picked the gold, who do you sell to next? You create layers, for example. So that by the time you are buying it as government, or whoever it is, you have empowered the locals there. You've empowered the next set of people. Now you take it up and you do that. So it's so shocking that Africa is the one that has all these resources, but we still continue to be poor. So the UPND, number one, they should utilize the minerals that we have. We have seen the gold in Northwestern Province. We have seen the, just right here in Rufunsa, you know, in Mumba right here. Gold is there. What plans does the government have? We are so used to begging as Africans, you know. We are so used to begging. But if we're going to look at the resources that we have, you know, and you also talked about the issue of the policy reversals of successive governments when they take over from the previous government, you know. The policy reversals that have happened have really injured the economy, that's a fact. And for me, I say that now in relation to one example with a solution. There's an issue of President Peter Sinkamba of the Green Party. He has been very, very categorical with the issue of, and very clear when it comes to marijuana, medical marijuana. He has been very, very clear on that one, and he has given a comprehensive plan, including only allowing ZAF with their guns, you know, to control the cultivation and the sale, whatever it is of the marijuana. You get the point. Those are plans. I've looked at this plan, I'm like, wow, you know, things like that. And I saw that there was, I think, was it a policy or an act, whatever it is, that the PF government actually went ahead and accepted in regards to that. Now that the UPND has come in government, I hope such great plans won't be disturbed. You know, because these are the comparative advantages that this country has. We have a lot of water, we have a lot of land. So in terms of agricultural things, in terms of crops, in terms of whatever, there's an advantage many countries don't have. You know, we normally talk about the water, like in terms of the southern region, Zambia's got 70% of the water in the entire southern African region. We have never taken advantage of that. So in terms of irrigation, you know, HH is a farmer himself. So with that, how are we going to ensure that we now develop the irrigation in this country so that we are able to farm, you know? So the land we have, the crops we have, all these plants, the minerals, natural resources, you know. And for me also, I feel so bad because we still have that colonial mindset, you know. And you remember that when the colonial masters were leaving us as Africans, it was a plan for them to ensure that they left us as mono economies, you know. Zambia, for example, they made us rely so much on copper. And we had other things. We had to diversify our economies. Places like Ghana, I think Ghana is about cocoa, you know, Ivory Coast, places like those ones. So you find that you only rely on one thing. And this is a country that has cocoa. You can't even make chocolate. You have to export your cocoa and buy back chocolate expensively. Zambia, we've got all this copper. You export your copper and buy back copper wires expensively. You know, so this thing of us big mono economies are continuing 56 years after independence. We need to decolonize ourselves. You know, and for me also it comes back to one of the greatest things that the NDC talks about, which is one of the key cornerstones of our manifesto, the issue of industrialization. As long as we do not industrialize this country, again, to be a problem. Because if we're mining the copper, are we going to sell it as raw materials? Or we're going to make sure that we put a value addition, or, you know, to these products? If you're having, let's say, groundnuts in Eastern Province, is it okay to just sell it as groundnuts, or we make peanut butter and to sell it like that? You know, look at the cashew nuts in Western Province. You go there in Western Province right now, the women are sweeping cashew nuts. Go on the plane or go in Europe or go wherever. Just 5 cashew nuts in one plastic, 5 or 10 of them, they were selling it for $2-3. That's a lot of money. But in Zambia here, people are busy, they're busy sweeping cashew nuts, you know. So things like that, we do have what we need in this country, a lot of things that we need. But instead, we leave things in the country lying about, not being developed, and we go out there and we ask for money. So it is a very, very sad situation. So for me, number one, I would like to see President HH diversify the economy. Number two, use our comparative advantage, you know, for the sake of this country, you know, so that we develop as fast as we can, because we do have the resources, actually. We do have them.
Right. So my guest on the program is Madam Saboi Imboila, coming from the NDC, of course, discussing a number of issues to deal with our country's developmental matters. And you can give us those comments on Facebook, and of course, for those that are watching us on Topside Decoder, of course, you can also be able to forward those comments of yours. Now we are almost into the dying minutes of the program. Madam President, I want us to quickly count down our interview, and now we talk about the political violence that we are witnessing still, even after the change of government. When the PF was in power, some of the concerns that you politicians, including us in the media, and the people of Zambia, was that of political violence in this country.
Very true.
And Bally, when he campaigned, wherever he went to campaign, he did promise that once he's sworn in, the issue of political violence was going to be a thing of the past. And I'm glad that in your preamble you did mention that Bally, I think, has been very consistent in denouncing political violence. But what is happening on the ground, it happens to be a different case. I can give you an example of what happened at the High Court just last week, where a PF member or cadre was attacked by some suspected UPND members. Anyway, it was confirmed by Tao Kawana that those are UPND members who attacked that PF cadre. All right, reason being that he's accused of having killed one of their members during the elections. Again, we saw another disturbing video which was recorded in Choma yesterday, where this group of cadres led by a councillor, a ward councillor rather, they went and closed the shop because that shop didn't have a portrait for the president. Today again, we see another video coming from Solowez as well, you know, in which has prompted now the local government minister to issue a statement. Why are we still speaking the same story about political violence? Where have we gone wrong as a country?
Well, number one, I think, like I said earlier on, Bally normally says something else, one thing, and these people do something else, you know. But today, for the first time, the Minister of Local Government, Honorable Garin Kombo, did something very, very commendable. And I mentioned to my UPND friends to say, if you're going to go about it like this, political violence will really stop. Because normally, when the cadres attack somebody, they'll deny them. The PF will do the same thing. You even know these are your people. They know we don't know them. They would never accept. The UPND has followed suit. But for the first time today, I saw Honorable Nkombo doing that. And that's the best way to stop political violence. If your cadres are going to attack anybody, call them out. They're going to say this person, if they're even in the structures, you even say this person is our district chairman for this place and this place. Because of the violence that has happened here, we are going to make sure that we're going to suspend them and people will stop. Yes, I remember in NDC when our former president, when we just started, not really started, but maybe 2-3 years after the NDC, the ZNBC did come to cover us at one of our press conferences that by then President Chishiba Kambwili we had. I think that was Brian Mwale who was attacked by our cadres. What he did by then, he suspended Kabwita as the National Youth Chairman. He did not participate in the violence, but because he was a National Youth Chairman, he was suspended and a few others. After that, our cadres never attacked anybody, you know. And apart from that, I went on radio and TV everywhere, and I apologized as spokesperson. And the media director, by then, I remember, they also had to do their apologies, you know. So we had to show to say, this is what has happened, and we took responsibility and censured our members. So the UPND now, we want to see what the PF were doing, even them what they've been doing all along. When their members are involved in violence, let them take responsibility and make sure that they punish those members. Once they do that, then you're going to see that political violence is really going to stop. Because we have a lot of that in this country. And for me, by the way, I've been talking to say, apart from the violence that we see, even online violence, the UPND cadres are very vicious. President HH and the UPND need to take a stance. Their members are too violent online. You know, and you know right now online space is very, very important. No wonder I've seen that organizations like the Zambia Nation Women's Lobby now have come in and they're taking us, giving us a legal representation as women political leaders, for example. You know, they have now this project where they're working with ZICTA, Zambia Police, and they have lawyers and counselors that they have actually engaged to ensure that us who are being bullied every day, day in and day out by the political cadres, they help stop that problem, you know. And by the way, some people can even say, maybe Saboi talks a lot, or this one takes. maybe they can.
The way you approach them, maybe in your checks and balances as well. Maybe you provoke them. You never know.
No, and that is what I want to say. Maybe for a person like me, they can even say that. Oh, maybe Saboi does this, she does that. You get the point. Maybe even when she does that joke, sometimes you don't understand that jokes or this or that, or maybe sometimes she just hashed. Maybe they can lie like that. But by the time the Women's Lobby were doing that project, they researched on 10 pages of Zambian women politicians. Among us them were Inonge Winner, Madam Nalumango. So we're talking about the previous vice president and the current vice president. You know, Iris Kaingu, Chisharakateka, you know, myself, and 10 other women, so to speak. And you'll be shocked. So we had a workshop at Cresta Golf just some 2 weeks ago. You'll be shocked the kind of comments and the kind of bullying that goes on in this country. So it has got nothing to do with what you say. You know, and one even for me, I told you to say, when I actually do certain things where I say, okay, today it's level, you get the point. When I do that, you know, even the way they comment is different. I'm actually mostly attacked when I talk about policy issues. So the people that insult, the people that attack women online, it's not because maybe they've been attacked. They do so when they can't articulate issues. You say, maybe, for example, I'm a Pan-Africanist, you know, talk about Pan-Africanism and the need to use our own local resources to develop our Zambia. They'll come in and they'll say all sorts of insults. No, go to the kitchen, no, do this. You need a man, you know. Those are things that they would say, you know. Chisharakateka, because they didn't know her marital situation, they'll be like, no, go and go to your husband, whatever it is, you know. Women even saying, no, if you don't go to look after your husband, look after your husband for you. Those are the kind of comments they put on women pages, you know. So the kind of hostility that is there, especially from the UPND cadres, has to be controlled. It has to take only one comment, one tweet from President HH. I was telling people earlier on to say, even the issue of Slabdi, the UPND cadres attacking Slabdi like that, it's very uncalled for. It will take only one tweet from President HH. Because before the elections, President HH and the UPND were all over. Whoever was making a name, doing something, going somewhere in the country, they're all over congratulating people and being on their Facebook pages and Twitter and everything, just to make a name on that. But now that they've won the elections, they are letting Zambians to be fried by their people like that. No, Zambia is democratic. In as much as our democracy is questionable, we do have those a bit of the democratic credentials that we can actually protect, you know. So, for example, somebody has a right to sing for whatever it is that they want to sing for. Somebody has a right to do whatever it is. And this thing they like now, no, they supported the oppressors, they supported this. Who are you to define who an oppressor is? You know, when it comes to an election, and no wonder we have elections. An election by nature means people's choices are different. Yeah, if everyone's choice was the same, we wouldn't go for elections. You know, in political science, actually, we like to say that where there are two people, there's going to be a difference. And if the two of you always agree on what you say, it means only one person is thinking, you know. And we further say that even just yourself, you're political. Because by the time you're going to decide what shoe am I going to make am I going to wear today between this one and that one, those are decisions you're making. So politics is about decisions. Politics is about deciding, okay, between green and red, what am I going to have? You get the point. So in the country, by virtue that we are many people in this country, politics is about difference in opinions, is about people not agreeing. So we have to respect that and respect other people's views and choices, and not what is happening in this country.
All right, as we go, I'll phrase in just a few questions. And this aspect I want to find out in terms of the future of NDC. I know that in as much as we've got problems at national level as well, the NDC, you've got bigger problems that you have to sort out. In as much as you'd want to offer checks and balances to BALLY'S administration,
yes,
again, other people need to keep you in check. And what's the future of NDC? Because already, I'm not sure. Maybe tomorrow I might just receive a summon, you know, for calling you NDC president, because there's somebody out there also claiming to be a president. Who is the president between the two?
Well, I think we need to bring civility in politics, you know, and I think moving forward, these people that think they can do coup d'etats anyhow, we should actually stiffen our laws so that people start getting arrested and serving terms. You know, a long time ago, there were a lot of coups, you know, coup d'etats in Africa. And I'm sure you talk about that, the contagion theory, where when it happens in one country, then others also get encouraged to do a coup d'etat in another country. What stopped that was the stance of the AU, the African Union. And they said whoever does a coup d'etat in their country will not be accepted. Because no matter how bad the situation is, respect the democratic process and form government. Okay, so yeah, so there was that. So the stance of the AU brought that civility. We need to do that in this country, because we've had so many factions. You know, just somebody creating. I think we saw that in the MMD. We saw that with UNIP. I think UNIP now they have 3 presidents, whatever it is, and then we saw it in the NDC. Yeah. That needs to come to an end. If you're going to come up and say, "I am the president of this party," who appointed you? Or who voted for you? I was elected as president of the NDC by 10 provinces. And when I talk about being elected as president, we had a convention where we were elected as members of the Central Committee, and by then we had a President Kambui, who was the president. I came out as a vice president, and the Constitution defends me, because when the president leaves, then I become the president of the NDC. The other people, when they said they were presidents or whatever it is, they just woke up one day, fired the president. And I've been telling people to say, Mutale Narumango, Honorable Mutale Narumango, she cannot fire HH. Especially in that time when they were in the opposition. He's the one that appointed her. President Lungu by then could not be fired by Inonga Winner, Madam Inonga Winner. He's the person, he appointed her. So how people would believe that Mr. Kafumba by then could fire Chishimba Kambui, it was very shocking. Because this is the person that appointed him and all of us in our positions at the time. So even if he had a problem with Chishimba Kambui being president of the NDC by then, you can't say you are not... you're not a journalist in at Muvi TV, and then you're not, so now it's me. No, who appointed me? If I'm going to say you're not, maybe I should say, okay, you're not because of ABCD. But they claimed he was not the president, and there and then they put themselves there. And the media also, you should be doing follow-ups. Because you remember that when they fired Chishimba Kambui, they even went to court. It was documented in court. Sure. They fired him to say, yeah, we have expelled him from the party. A few days later, they said, no, we didn't expel him. He resigned on his own. He said, if you're going to do ABC, then count me out. So since he said count me out, we take it, he has left. But the NDC constitution, according to Article 8, clearly says how the president can even resign. Right. He has to write a letter. If really he resigned according to them, he should have put that, his resignation in writing and brought it to Central Committee. You can't have rebels, 3 of them, announcing just on radio to say we have fired this person, you know. And all of us at Central Committee were very shocked because we were in our homes. And we saw 5 of our colleagues, because Central Committee by then were 46. Yeah. Then we saw 5 of our colleagues firing our president, who chose us and them. You know, so that in terms of Zambian politics, we need civility in our politics right now. People that just come up and say all sorts of things, they need to be cleared out.
They believe that Mr. Kafumba believes that he's the backbone now of the NDC because he is one of the office bearers, according to him, amongst some of the members who are, his subjects at the moment.
I'll tell you one thing, Innocent. I think this is one thing I think I'd explained earlier on. I think that was the time when I had the Munyamsenge issue, actually. Sure. A political party is not like a company, where when you and I form a political party, then it belongs to two of us. A political party, first of all, is formed by 10 people. You take your fingerprints and whatever to register of society, to the police, they clear you, you go to register of societies and you form a party. Once it has been formed, it belongs to the members that join. Okay? NDC was formed by 10 people. Our current SG Kawita being one of them, Mr. Munyamsenge by then and everything, they formed that party. When we had a few things in the party, Mr. Kafumba by then was not there. They incorporated him to come into the NDC. Right. Okay? When this confusion started, they removed him. But of course, because of the court process, there's one court process where they sued Chichimba Kambwe for masquerading as the president of the NDC. So because of that, no wonder they've just not affected the changes. But even then, his name may still appear there, but we still have the majority of the office bearers on our side. You get the point? Appearing at Register of Societies does not mean that you're the president of NDC. Because our SG Chichimba, Kabwita is there. Our national chairman, Christopher Mtadi is there. Okay? And by the way, we never change even Mr. Munyamsenge. Mr. Munyamsenge, when he left NDC, went to form another party. In Zambia, you can't even form two parties. You can't belong on the registration of two parties. So that, again, is an anomaly on their side. And you saw when Mr. Munyamsenge left, because now they want confusion, they've brought him back and they've said it's the SG again. Which person have you seen who leaves the party and goes back into the original position? Mr. Msenge went to the PF, he had rejoined the PF. Did they give him his original position? No. Our former president, Dr. Kambwe, he's now a member of the PF. Did they give him his original position? No. You can't do that. So the confusion that Mr. Kafumba is doing, it's nothing but that, confusion. And they're trying to create a media circus, And for me, the other thing which I like is that the fact is that both local and international organizations recognize me as the president of the NDC. And that's the most important thing. That is why even when President HH was voted for as president, they had no choice. The person they invited for the inauguration was me, not Kafumba. Okay? A few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, before Bally went to the US, the person they called to go at the church service, which he was there, I can't remember, he graced, so to speak. Yeah, you remember the Thanksgiving prayers and everything. The person that they invited was me, because they have no choice. In as much as Kafumba is somebody they are using to do whatever it is they are doing, they are not protected by the law. When it comes to the law, I am the president of the NDC. I never talk much about it because sometimes it's pointless to talk about things which are real, which are true. It's like you get a lion and you get a pup, you get a anytime they run. I think the lion will just sit and say, let's see others run. You get the point.
What kind of examples are you setting to the young people, to the young generation that wants to join politics tomorrow or today? In that people like you at your level, very vibrant woman, very educated, including Mr. Kafumba as well, is a lawyer by profession. These are people that, for me, you can easily harmonize and dialogue to handle these issues.
Yes.
What kind of a picture are you portraying? And how would you describe all this process? I don't want to say circus, but process. And
I'll be very honest with you. For me, I've put my foot down when it comes to this. People have said we should reconcile with the other group. Yeah. Even some members from our party, they came through, they said we reconcile. And now there's a big push right now in the media. No, we need to reconcile, we need to reconcile. I told them one thing, to say, the Kafumba group, they worked with the UPND, which won elections. Yeah. We endorsed the PF, okay? We endorsed the PF, which lost elections. So I was telling them, how come the so-called, if I'm going to put it in brackets, how come the so-called winners or people that endorse the winners, or in fact in an alliance, them is even stronger, it's not even an endorsement but an alliance, who were in an alliance with the UPND who are winners, how come they are forcing a reconciliation on us? And I've told my members, if any one of you is going to answer me that question, why the so-called winners are forcing a reconciliation on us, if you answer me, then I'm going to reconcile with them. But if you don't, for me, I'm going to wait for the court process. Because if we don't sort out or wait for the court process to finish, this problem may arise again. Okay, it may arise later, so to speak. So for me, I want the entire process to be exhausted. Those people had about 5-6 cases against us. All of them, they've been disposed of. There's only one bigger case remaining in court because they don't have a legal leg to stand on. So for me, I insist on the court process being finished, and if they want a reconciliation won't be, I'm standing on the other side, I'm president of NDC, and Mr. Kafumba is president of NDC, because it's not. If they really want a reconciliation, they need to come, because we expelled them. They're expelled members of the NDC, and they stand expelled. So if they want to reconcile with the NDC, they need to come to us, and we reconcile nicely, you know. There has to be a whole process of mediation, arbitration, forgiveness to happen, and then we reconcile. Not where they just say, okay, now that we've done this, let's come together. There were people, by the way, that stood in the last elections. Because for them, I'm sure you saw they went to ECZ and said, no one should stand on NDC. They threatened our people. There will be police everywhere. Whoever will stand on NDC will be arrested. We went to the ECZ, and the ECZ clearly told us, we never operate on that. Unless there's a court order, that's when we can stop people from standing. And our people stood. And even when they stood, they still went to them and tried to tell them, can you step down, support the UP, and to give you 50,000 kwachas? You know, all those funny things. And people even ask him to say, but you're saying you're the president of NDC. So why are you offering us all these things? You know, why are you offering us all these things? And more than that, you know, why do you want to destroy the party? Because you're the president of NDC, then you're going to want ABCD and ABCD to happen. But for me, it's very consistent. You know, to say, let's stand, a political party is dependent on standing, on having members of parliament or having councillors. Even if you lose, at least there's that process. You get the point? So some people that stood again, when they saw that the UPND won, they were convinced, and they had an entire press conference, and they started saying that I deceived them to stand. People that I did not know, they stood in one of the places in Northern Province. I deceived them to stand and everything. But the funny thing, like I told the members, said, be patient and wait for people to do whatever they want to do, wherever they want to go. Right. Those people came back, and they've called in now fathers from the Catholic Church to reconcile us. So they come in, Madam President, I'm president again. I saw you in a press conference saying Agafumba is the president. So how have I become president again? Right. No, as a party, we need this direction. We've got father this and father this and father that. Let's sit back. And so I just gave them that same condition. These expelled members of the party, if they want to reconcile, we've got no problem with that. But they need to come as expelled members of the party, and we start where the problem started from, and we do mediation, arbitration, a whole process of forgiveness, and then maybe we can reconcile. Anything other than that, we're not interested.
Right. Madam Imboila, allow me to appreciate you and just inform you that in the studio, we have no democracy. So we have to go.
I can get that. No, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, allow me to appreciate you, the viewers, again for watching the program. I believe that the NDC president, Madam Saboi Imboila, has managed to respond to one or two questions that